So we're finished for the morning, are we?
No, we have another witness.
Oh, we have another witness. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot to say.
Thank you. I'd ask Rita Farrell to please come to the stand. What kind of person was Donald Dunphy?
He was a very kind-hearted person. He was a good father. He was an animal lover for sure, especially cats. He was a very knowledgeable person. He knew all current affairs. He always read the papers, the TVs. He could bring up any situation that was on the go anywhere in the world and tell you about it. He was dependable for sure. If you asked him to do something he could possibly do it, he'd do it. He was the kind of a guy who would help you in any way that he could.
Okay. Do you recall any particular smell from the house? Because as you might have heard, we've had some very, some fairly, definite evidence about very strong smell of cat urine, cat feces. Did you find the house smelled?
No, I never did get that. I know Mr. Dunphy had litter boxes, and he had cleaning supplies, and he always had supplies to keep his cats that were his pets clean.
All right, so here we're seeing again, we're seeing a lot of this is next to Mr. Dunphy's chair, and I won't keep you on this one long, but I'm seeing a lot of, there's a lot of garbage here, okay? So we see, a lot of Boost bottles and water bottles, ginger ale bottles. Would it be typical to see that kind of much garbage on the floor?
No, I've never seen that. It almost looks like the garbage was in the garbage can, and it almost looks like it was dumped out because somebody was looking for something or some reason. Like there's broken paper cups there. I've never seen anything like that.
Okay, so all the other photos you saw you thought were representative, but this one you don't. That's
but
more...
in the living room, I haven't seen that in the living room.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm done with that exhibit. Did you ever see any weapons in Mr. Dunphy's home?
The only thing I saw in Mr. Dunphy's home that would be classed as a weapon, I guess, was a stick that looked like a baseball stick.
Okay.
It was a long stick with some tape on the end of it.
Okay.
You say like a baseball stick, like a baseball bat, you mean?
Like a bat, yes, sir.
And where would you have seen that?
That was on the right, always on the right-hand side of the chair where he sat, on his right-hand side.
Did you ever know Mr. Dunphy to have a gun?
Never.
Okay. Did he ever speak to you about a gun?
Never.
Okay. I'm now going to show you an exhibit of a stick that was found in his house. And I'm going to ask if you can identify it. If you could please bring up exhibit photo 119, P10 119. Okay. Ms. Farrell, can you see that? Do you recognize this stick here?
Yes, I do.
And is that the one that you were just talking about?
Yes, it is.
And you said it was on the right-hand side of the chair, and it was usually propped up against the wall, I think you said,
Yes,
or against the chair, or the side of the chair, propped up. In this case, this was photographed kind of on this. This is the entranceway going into the living room.
Yes.
Okay, so what you're seeing here in this corner is the back corner of Mr. Dunphy's armchair.
Okay.
Did you ever see this stick in that location?
Never.
Did you ever see it anywhere else in the living room other than where you described it on the right
No, I
side of
didn't.
the chair? Okay. How did you? I'm going to take you now just a few questions with respect to April 5th, 2015, and that's fine, Madam Clerk. You can take down that exhibit. How did you find out about Mr. Dunphy's shooting?
I had heard there was something on the go in Mitchellsbrook, and I asked her if she knew about it, and she said yes, there had been a shooting.
Just give you a moment. Would you like, we don't have very much longer to go. Would you like to take a little break, though, before we finish?
That's fine.
You want to keep going? Okay. All right. So what else of that conversation? Ms. Farrell, do you recall? She said there'd been a shooting. Did she tell you who'd
She
been
said,
shot?
yeah, she said Don Dunphy was dead. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, those are the questions I have for you, Ms. Farrell. Other lawyers may have questions, and the Commissioner may have questions himself.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Breen,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Ms. Farrell, my name is Erin Breen. I represent Megan Dunphy. I have a few questions for you. Ms. Farrell, you have described basically an 11-year relationship that you had with Donald Dunphy. Is that correct?
Yes,
And that you saw him frequently throughout that 11-year period.
yes, I did.
You've also described going to his house and being a guest in his house, seated in his living room, at times when you knew he had smoked marijuana.
Yes,
Because you say you had smelled it or saw smoke or something of that nature?
yes.
Okay. In your many conversations with Mr. Dunphy over the years, did you ever find him to be paranoid?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever find him to be delusional or not making sense?
Never.
Did you see him ever express or look to be depressed or express any kind of suicidal thoughts or ideation?
Never.
Okay. And I believe you said to Ms. O'Brien you felt that he was a hopeful person. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
You've also described the fact that you had given him a key to your summer place. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And so you trusted Mr. Dunphy. Is that
Yes, I
right?
did.
You asked him to do things for you, and he did those?
Yes.
Okay. I believe those are all my questions for you, Ms. Farrell. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, Ms. Farrell. My name is Jerome Kennedy. I'm counsel for Constable Joseph Smythe. I have a couple of questions for you.
Good morning.
No, Commission Counsel had indicated, excuse me, Ms. Farrell, that you had sat through some of the inquiry. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so did you sit through any of the evidence where you have heard the police officers describe what they said was an overpowering smell of cat urine and other things when you went into the house?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you're saying that you didn't get that smell?
No, I didn't.
So you'd been in the house 3 weeks previous and that smell wasn't there?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Now, did you also sit through the testimony of Megan Dunphy and Colin Dean?
I wasn't here for Megan's. No, I wasn't here for Colin Dean.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you a couple of questions and refer you to a couple of photographs. And
So
All
I'll
right,
just,
go ahead.
I'm going to show you a photograph, Ms. Farrell. This is a picture around the chair, okay? Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's a larger picture of the one that had been shown by Ms. O'Brien. Had you ever seen the house like that before?
I've seen the table like that. I've never seen this here.
Okay, so
I've
you've
never seen that much clutter from a garbage can.
Okay. So in the previous when you had been there 3 weeks previous, it wasn't like that?
No, I've
Okay.
never ever,
Okay.
at any time, seen
Okay.
something. I always seen the table. There was always papers, magazines, letters he was writing, that kind of thing, whatever else he had on his table. But never something that looked like a pile of garbage that was just dumped in broken pieces.
So you had never smelled the overpowering smell, you'd never seen the garbage in your previous visits to Mr. Dunphy's home?
I didn't say I didn't see garbage. I didn't see the garbage in the way that garbage was by that garbage can.
Okay.
There was garbage, newspapers, yes, you call that garbage, but not broken up garbage.
In terms of the bat that you saw, do you remember being asked about that by one of these two lawyers sitting here in front, Commission Counsel, in your interview with them?
Yes.
Do you remember what you said to them?
Well, I'd have to know the question.
You were asked, okay, you were asked about did you ever see any weapons in Donald Dunphy's house? Do you remember what your answer was?
It was the bat that I seen.
Okay. And you were then asked, did you ever, did he ever speak to you about why he had it by his chair?
No, he didn't.
No. So did you say you assume because there was marijuana growing there that he would have had it by his chair for protection?
Yes.
Now, did you tell these counsel on that day where you saw the bat?
Yes, I did.
And where did you tell them you saw the bat?
On the right-hand side of his chair.
And you're sure you said that on the interview with Commission Counsel on December 12, 2016?
Yes, I did.
Now, unless Commission Counsel can help me, I don't see that there.
You don't want to see
So
it,
that's by the right-hand side of the chair.
you don't see any reference to where it
In
was,
the
or?
interview with Commission Counsel, I see it's by the chair, but I don't see any reference to the right-hand side of the chair. Do you know if I'm incorrect in that?
I would have the same access to the same transcript that you do, Mr. Kennedy, but I have no memory of her being inconsistent on that point, but,
Right. So
Let me
it
read it.
may not have been raised in terms of which side it was on, but Ms. Farrell's recollection, as I understand it, is that she said it was on the right-hand side of the
She
chair.
said, I thought, Commissioner, she said she told Commission Counsel was on the right-hand side of the chair. That's your recollection, is it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to read you it's at page 20.
Excuse me, Mr. Kennedy, I just wanted the record to reflect as well that when Ms. Farrell was just giving that testimony, she moved her arm to the right-hand side. What we have here is a transcript of what she said audio. As she was just replying to Mr. Kennedy, she used her right hand to her right side.
Yeah, I don't think Mr. Kennedy is questioning that, are you, that she's
No, what I'm
indicated-
saying is that she didn't tell Commission Counsel on the date in question that the stick was to the right-hand side of the chair.
Because it might not have been raised, but,
Well, I'm going to read her the
all right,
question.
sure,
and-
okay.
yeah.
So is that all right as far as what? Yeah.
Well, I understood when Ms. Farrell was replying about what she told Commission Counsel, she did use the word right, but she was also gesturing, and I don't know if she gestured to Commission Counsel on that date. We don't have a record of that because she wasn't asked specifically to follow up on it.
Anyhow, okay.
So let me read you the
Go ahead.
question. Ms. O'Brien says to Ms. Farrell, did you ever see any weapons in Donald Dunphy's house? Ms. Farrell, I never did, and I never heard of any weapons, and Don never ever talked about any weapons or any hunting. The only thing that I ever remember seeing, it was there every day, it was like a baseball stick, and it had tape on the end, and he always had that by his chair. Ms. O'Brien, did he ever speak to you about why he had that by his chair? No, I guess he had no reason to, because I never asked. I just assumed that where he had the medical marijuana or whatever, that he had it there for protection in case somebody or some younger people broke into his house thinking that he had drugs there, that kind of thing. So I just assumed it was for protection. Now, did you remember giving that testimony to Commission Counsel?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I don't see a reference there to you saying it was by the right-hand side of the chair.
It was always by the right-hand side of the chair. Maybe I wasn't asked.
Well,
It
you
was
were asked about the
definitely-
weapon, and you referred to the bag. You said it was by his chair.
Yes.
Is there any reason that you didn't tell them where it was that day?
There was no reason. It was always by the right-hand side of the chair.
Okay, so why did you say when it was by his chair, why didn't you tell them that day it was by the right-hand side of his chair?
Maybe it didn't come to me to be that specific because I wasn't asked.
So have you sat in this inquiry when there's been discussion as to where the stick was located?
I've been here a few days. It probably did come up.
Okay. Did that help your memory as to where the stick was located?
No, definitely not. From day one, I knew it was always for 11 years by the right-hand side of his chair.
So he had that stick, you're saying, for 11 years by the right-hand side of his chair.
Every time I went there on the weekends or in the summertime, that's where I saw that stick.
I just think I have one last question for you now. No, I think that's fine. Thank you very much,
Okay,
Ms. Farrell.
thank you.
Ms. Sevier?